It is game day, the season opener, the home opener, Sabres versus Senators. We'll preview it all. We'll look at the line combinations, the starting goaltenders for tonight's matchup. We'll look at some of the betting lines and props. And also, we have goal songs to talk about as the Sabres players have announced their goal songs. All of that ahead on our first game preview of the season here on Locked On Sabres.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including our YouTube channel, where you can watch the show. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you may be listening today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to our first game preview of the 22-23 season for the Buffalo Sabres, and it comes against the Ottawa Senators. So we'll talk about the Sens, what they did in the offseason, the line combinations for tonight's game, the goaltending matchup, as well as a couple of goal song stuff and betting lines and whatnot. A lot of fun on today's show as we preview tonight's matchup at KeyBank Center. The goal songs is actually where I want to start, so we'll get to that in a second. But as a reminder, if you want to hit us up on social media, you want to send a question our way, we will answer it on the show. We will, we like having our mailbag full. So be sure to ask a question, and we'll always answer it here on the show. At Sneaky Joe Sports, follow me on Twitter at Locked On Sabres for the podcast account. One announcement to make for the podcast before we get rolling on the start of the season. Jordan Hanskin, my co-host for the last 2 years here on the show, will not be a part of the show any longer going forward. Just schedule stuff, like he's got a career in teaching now. He teaches, locally. He's back here in Buffalo. Schedules change. I'm doing morning show now at WGR. So it's been tough. Jordan's been a friend of mine since high school. So, there's no bad will or anything or ill will or anything on that front by any means. He's going to come on the show. He'll talk about the team once in a while and say his goodbyes in the next couple of days and weeks. So we'll get him on here, but it's going to be solo show going forward here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Just a bit of an announcement. Super thankful for Jordan doing the show. I'm telling you right now, the listeners out there and the watchers, I would not have made it through that pandemic without Jordan. It would not have happened. 9 months of content about the Buffalo Sabres. I would have run out of gas before getting through that because, man, they didn't play in the bubble when they restarted. So you had the first off season that was the shutdown to the bubble, and then you had the second off season, which was the bubble to the start of the next season, and it was like a full calendar year between them not playing games, which was ludicrous. We made it through it, so I'll always be thankful for that, and he'll make an appearance on the show once in a while still going forward. So that's just some housekeeping to get out of the way up front. Let's get to tonight's matchup between the Sabres and the Senators. We have got lines for the Sabres that are basically the same that they've been in practice for the last couple of weeks. First line, and I'm going to number these personally. The Sabres don't number these, but this is my estimation on how this will shake out in terms of ice time. Line 1. Also, they're listed this way at the Daily Faceoff. Thompson, centering Olofsson and Skinner. Second line, Mittelstadt, centering Tuch and Quinn. Third line, Cousins, centering Krebs and Peterka. And then fourth line, Asplund, centering Okposo and Girgensons. So we made it to opening night with Asplund as the fourth line center, or as the checking center, more realistically. That's the one line that, depending on the game, they could end up being the second or third line in terms of ice time because of their defensive prowess and they're just very good with puck possession and whatnot, and they have the ability to chip the puck in. So the new version of the log line, we'll need a nickname for it. Asplund, Okposo, and Girgensons. Asplund is going to play center, and that will be something to keep note of. Also, Mittelstadt playing center between Tuch and Quinn. It's interesting. I've got a note about Mittelstadt in my little spew about the odds later on. One of my favorite prop bets involves Mittelstadt in this game. So stay tuned for that a little bit later on. On the blue line for Buffalo, freshly inked Mattias Samuelsson on the left side of the first pair with Rasmus Dahlin on his right. Second pair, left side Owen Power, right side Henry Jokiharju. Third pair, left side Jacob Bryson, right side Ilya Lyubushkin, who will be wearing number 46, by the way. That actually probably be good to do. Guys with new numbers for the season that you might be, oh, who's that? Lyubushkin will be wearing number 46. JJ Peterka will be wearing number 77. Jack Quinn will be wearing number 22. And I believe that is about it. Except for goaltender. Goaltender, the starting goalie for tonight's game is likely to be Craig Anderson. He was the first off the ice at Sabres practice. Comrie getting some extra work, so probably Craig Anderson for tonight's game. Comrie, by the way, will be wearing number 31, if you're wondering. I wish this was going to be Comrie. I would have liked this to be Eric Comrie. Wanted to see him in game one. Would like to see him get a real crack at being the starting goaltender. And I think he will get that. I think he'll have a chance to be the guy that earns more and more starts. They play the hot hand type of strategy or whatnot. I think the best the Sabres can be this season is with Eric Comrie as their goaltender, not Craig Anderson. Anderson last year, that's the best you're going to get out of him. And it was a backup level of play at best. Comrie, maybe there's a starter in there, and the Sabres will need to find that out. So Anderson tonight against the Senators, I would imagine it's Comrie against the Panthers on Saturday. It would just be my hunch, and maybe they go back and forth until one guy really takes hold of the net, if they even do, and if not, they'll go 1A, 1B all season. So Anderson appears to be the guy, though, for night number one. Goal songs for the Buffalo Sabres in this game. Fans will have some fun with this. In fact, I'll put this up for our YouTube audience if you want to see the list in full. Kind of working your way down, you've got a goal song picked by everybody except Owen Power, a little bit curiously. I don't know why that's the case, but last year, I think Cousins was the one, or Dahlin hadn't picked for a while, so I'm sure he'll get it. Or they really just forgot about it on the graphic. I don't know, but Power, I'm sure if he scores a goal, we'll hear something. Most interesting songs on this list. So I'm going to work my way from 1 to 21 with the most interesting ones. Number 3 on the list, Jacob Bryson has chosen Narco by Timmy Trumpet. And if my co-host Jeremy White at WGR has been very adamant, and I, for the most part, agree with him, that song should belong to Edwin Diaz and the New York Mets. They are the ones that made it cool. They are the ones that made it a thing. It should be theirs. And it shouldn't be that everybody is stealing it. And the Sabres are going to do a little bit of that here. Excuse me. The Red Wings were using it as an intro song in the preseason. I'm glad they're not doing that. Jacob Bryson. If it was going to be a player, why not Jacob Bryson? Because it still will be a rarity, right? We might not hear it all season. Bryson, in 111 games for the Sabres in the last 2 years, has 2 goals. 2 goals for 111 games. It's possible he doesn't score at all. And at most, what are we getting? 2, 3, 4? Like, we're not going to hear it all that often. So I don't have a problem with Timmy Trumpet there. This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan is Rasmus Dahlin's song. Nice, good. It's Tricky by Casey Fitzgerald. Okay, that's a good one. Kickstart My Heart by Henry Jokiharju. How about Peyton Krebs picking a One Republic song? Really going for the millennial there in Peyton Krebs. Middle school song, One Republic. Ilya Lyubushkin. I saw a good tweet by Ben Mathewson. Let me find it. It was really good. I want to get the exact wording right. Here we go. Putting up on YouTube. Imagine being an NHL goaltender. After years of hard work and sacrifice, you have reached the top 0.0001% of your field. Then on some Tuesday in February, Ilya Lyubushkin scores on a shot that deflects off 3 of your teammates, and 19,000 fans start singing "I'm a Gummy Bear" at you. That's a great tweet by Ben Mathewson. But anyways, I do think that the Sabres have some good ones on here. I'm a Gummy Bear is fun by Lyubushkin. Same thing as Bryson. He's probably not going to score all that much. Jukebox Hero by Casey Mittelstadt. Till I Collapse by Kyle Okposo. Gimme, Gimme, Gimme by Victor Olofsson is good. All right, but now we get into the really interesting ones. There's 2. Number 19 on this list, Jeff Skinner. The long campaign on Twitter by Sabres Twitter has reached its It's pinnacle. Jeff Skinner is doing "I'd Want to Dance with Somebody" by Whitney Houston. So that is going to be awesome. That's going to be very similar to the Party in the USA vibes that Skinner was giving fans last year. So, and that's a guy that should score a lot of goals. So I Want to Dance with Somebody. Awesome. Love that. Love it. And then Tage Thompson. This is, to me, was the best one. Tage Thompson, who is probably the favorite, in fact, got to be the favorite, to be the Sabres' leading in goal scorers this season. Fishing in the Dark by the Nitty Gritty Band. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. That is amazing. I love it. That's my favorite one. The whole arena erupting to Fishing in the Dark is super cool. I love that Thompson picked that. That to me is my favorite. And then the last one, Party Up by DMX for Alex Tuck. Those three crushed their picks. Skinner, Thompson, and Alex Tuck. And that is the Sabres goal songs for the 22-23 season. We will take a timeout. We will come back. We'll talk a little bit about the Ottawa Senators. What do they got going on? What do their lines look like for tonight? Who's their goaltender going to be? Cam Talbot, who they traded for in the offseason, has an injury. So I'll tell you who's going to start for them. And we'll also get into the betting odds as we keep rolling here in our first preview episode here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are brought to you by betonline.net, who will talk about their odds a little bit later on. They're also your number one source for football betting information all season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, in-depth articles, and analysis on every game you can find. You don't even need it for betting purposes. If you just want to know more about the Bills-Chiefs matchup on Sunday, you could do that at BetOnline. If you want to find out who the starting goaltenders are for your fantasy lineup for a certain night, you could do that at BetOnline. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including the Major League Baseball playoffs. You got MMA, boxing, golf. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Joe DiBiase here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We've got the Sabres and Senators Thursday night, at 7 o'clock. Ottawa for this game. They made some big swings in the offseason, and their expectation, I think, coming into this year is to pass Buffalo. They were 3 points behind the Sabres in the standings last year. This year, they signed Claude Giroux in the offseason. They trade for Alex DeBrincat. So two big swings that the Senators made in the offseason. And I think that is why the expectation is 87.5 points. That's their over-under. They're expected to make the jump that Sabre fans are hoping the Sabres will make. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair to start the year putting Ottawa over Buffalo. The Sabres rookies will have to be where they match Ottawa. Can Quinn, Peterka, and Power give you a similar impact that DeBrincat and Giroux can give Ottawa? And I think that absolutely can happen, but it will have to happen because you know that the Senators are going to get better. Those two players are proven commodities, and the Sabres have rookies coming in. So it could be better than what Ottawa's got, but Ottawa is a little bit more of a sure thing. It's why their betting line is higher. That's why the Sabres fans have to, I think, have cautious optimism because Detroit and Ottawa made moves like that. But Giroux and DeBrincat are the new faces on the Senators tonight's game. Looking at the lines and how they have kind of divvied that up with their two new stars. First line, Tim Stützle centering Drake Batherson and Brady Tkachuk. A young line. That's the core group for their team. That is the core. That's their Thompson, Cousins, and Krebs, or whoever you want to throw into that list. Quinn. Those are the three guys they're going to be relying upon for a decade. The second line, Josh Norris, really good second-line center in the league, centering Alex DeBrincat and Claude Giroux. They have the two veterans playing on the same line. I think that fits well for Ottawa. DeBrincat is a goal scorer. Giroux is an all-around great offensive player, but is a great playmaker. They fit really well together. Third line for Ottawa, Shane Pinto centering Matthew Joseph and Tyler Mott. Fourth line, Mark Kastelik centering Austin Watson, formerly of the Predators, and Parker Kelly, who I have no idea. Someone named Parker Kelly on their fourth line. The blue line, the stud, their superstar defenseman, Thomas Chabot. He is their number one. He is their Dahlin. He is the guy that they are relying upon to be their franchise defenseman. He is a good young player. He is paired up with Artem Zub, Jake Sanderson on the second pairing. Travis Hamonic still in the NHL. How about that? Second pair for Ottawa. Eric Brandstrom and Nick Holden are the third pair for Ottawa. And in net, in goal, Cam Talbot, who they acquired in the offseason, he is injured. So he is not playing in this game. They had to bring in a backup from Seattle because they were out of goaltenders. Anton Forsberg is going to be the starting goaltender for Ottawa on the night. Forsberg, who has been a career backup in the NHL, this will be an advantage, right? The Sabres will be facing a backup goalie to start the season. I'm not sure Anderson's going to give them better play than Forsberg will, but it's better than if Talbot was out there for the Sabres' sake. So that's Ottawa in a nutshell. When we come back, my favorite betting odds for tonight's game, my favorite bets, prop bets in particular. But we'll look at the money line, the puck line, the over-under, and we'll get a betting preview of tonight's game when we return, courtesy of Bet Online. That is on the way next here on Locked On Sabres. Welcome back to the Locked On Sabres podcast. Joe DiBiase at Sneaky Joe Sports. We are hours away from the Sabres opening their season at home. I'll be at the game, section 109. If anybody wants to say hi, I'll be at the game. 8th row, I think, or whatnot. No, maybe, is that even the section? I'm pretty sure it's the section. But anyways, Sabres and Senators tonight. I wonder what, by the way, we're going to get for attendance. Last year, the opener, I looked this up, 8,400. It was less than half the crowd. I do wonder what we're going to get for attendance. More and more, I'm thinking we're going to get a good crowd. Not a sellout, maybe 15, 16,000. That's the range that I would want to put it in, is 15 to 16,000. But we'll see. One can hope. Betting lines for this game. The Sabres are an underdog to start the season, albeit a very, very, very slight underdog in this game. At Bet Online, the Sabres are plus 106 on the money line. Ottawa, as the favorite, is minus 117. If I'm betting the money line, I'll go Buffalo there. Give me the extra little boost I get. The Sabres being the home underdog, too, especially. The puck line, the Sabres plus a goal and a half, minus 258. Ottawa minus a goal and a half is plus 218. So far, my favorite bet is the puck line for Ottawa, actually. They got to win by 2. But I always like the puck line because of the empty net probability. And plus 218, you're getting 2-1 odds that they'll get that. So I like Ottawa on the puck line. But I do like the Sabres on the money line since it's close to a 50-50 shot there. For the total is 6.5. I think I'm going to become an unders guy. I think more and more I'm going to begin to be betting unders. I would be on the under 6.5, which is currently plus 107 at Bet Online. The over, a little bit of a juice on the over at minus 118. So I'm on the under 6.5 goals. 6.5 goals. I get 4-2, and I cash that bet. 3-2. Obviously, any score below that. I don't need to tell you all the scores. I'm on under. I'm on under. These teams, despite the fact that they have goalies that on every other team in the league would be backups, they're not juggernauts. They're promising, but that's a big number too. 6.5 is a big number. Usually you'll see 5.5 or 6. To see the 6.5 number come out, I'll go under. Prop bets for tonight's game. One of my favorites is Casey Mittelstadt to record a point. Over half a point for Mittelstadt pays out plus 114. Plus money for 1 point for Mittelstadt. So he's on a line that he should do well at, right? He's with Alex Tuch and Jack Quinn. Jack Quinn, the rookie, but a great goal scorer, a great finish. He can put the puck in the back of the net. And Tuch does a lot of great things offensively. He carries the puck. He's fast. He can go to the front of the net. He could score. He could set up. He's just an all-around good offensive player. Mittelstadt I think Granato is putting Mittelstadt in a position to succeed and do it right away. Because not only is he playing with Tuch and with Quinn, Mittelstadt has been practicing on the number 1 power play unit, the right wall of the number 1 power play unit. So give me a power play point. Give me a secondary assist on the power play where it goes Mittelstadt to Dahlin, and then Thompson rips a one-timer and they score. I cash that. So I want to bet Mittelstadt to record a point in this game tonight. The other bet that I do like is anytime goal scorer. And I'm going with Victor Olofsson for anytime goal scorer in this one. Plus 250 as an anytime goal scorer. All he needs is one. He's just got to get to the one. Plus 250. I think Olofsson is primed for a big year. He has 20 goals as his career high, but he's never played a full season. And except for last year when he still didn't play a full season, but he was dealing with a wrist injury for half the year and maybe never got right. So he went like 3 months without scoring a goal. That's not going to happen again. And he still got to 20. I think Olofsson is primed for a big year. I think 30 goals for Olofsson is completely realistic. So I'm going to be on him as a scorer. I've got him plus 250. That's my favorite prop bet next to Mittelstadt over half a point. And Olofsson, the goal scoring again, plus 250. So those are some of the odds for tonight's game. That is going to do it for our this edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Tomorrow, we will recap the Sabres' hopefully win over the Ottawa Senators, and we will preview Saturday afternoon's matchup against the Florida Panthers. So get your hockey in now before Bills and Chiefs on Sunday. Enjoy the game. Hockey's back. It's going to be fun. And we'll talk to you tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon is when the podcast will be up to talk about this game tonight and then a preview a little bit of tomorrow against Florida. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you tomorrow here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now go make your second listen. Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone bring you the fantasy edge and keep you ahead of the competition with daily updates of news, analysis, and advice Monday through Friday. It's available on YouTube, Odyssey, and wherever you get your podcasts. Talk to you tomorrow.